Welcome to the Alabama Bass Trail Podcast, brought to you by Phoenix Boats. Now, here are your hosts, Alabama Bass Trail Program Director, Kate Donaldson.
Welcome into the Alabama Bass Trail Podcast presented by Phoenix Boats. I'm Kate Donaldson, the director of the Alabama Bass Trail, and your host for this week's podcast. And that's about all I can say. We are post-moving week, post-registration week, just an absolute insane week in my life. And we're going to get into it. Luke's going to join me in a little bit. We're going to talk about registration. We're going to look at all of their predictions as well as my prediction. We're going to talk a little bit about some change of some teams that I don't think Luke is aware of, that I've just basically kind of gone through and looked at. So we're going to talk all things registration once we get Luke on here in just a few minutes. But again, you'll notice that the background is different, and it will be different after the first of the year as we get the podcast area set up for the Alabama Bass Trail Podcast. But I am literally 1 week into moving and still have a lot of things to do, but I have a makeshift desk up and running. I have lights, I have cameras, I have all the things that I need to do this. So I've tested audio and all the things. So it has been a busy week. It's been a busy week in bass fishing altogether. I know the Elite Series wrapped up. I do want to talk a couple of things about that. There's been so much controversy in bass fishing lately. It seems like every time there's a tournament, there's something going on, and I hate that. I hate that from my perspective as an organizer. I feel for my friends who are dealing with these things as we go through the bass fishing world. I do not condone cheating. I do not condone any of that. Things have to be taken care of, but it is never easy. I don't care which way you look at it. Right is right, wrong is wrong, and the decisions have to be made, and it looks as though Bass has made their decision. I don't know what their appeal process is or anything like that, but I just hate the negativity that our sport, the sport that I love, the sport that I've invested the last 15 years. I know the trail's only been involved for 12 years or for 12 seasons. We just registered for the 12th season. But I've been involved in the sport a long time. I worked for the city of Decatur in recruiting events. I've worked for Alabama Mountain Lakes and bringing people to the state of Alabama for recreational bass fishing, catfishing, brim fishing, crappie fishing. I've been involved in this industry a lot longer than the Alabama Bass Trail. So I really hate to see the negativity that is surrounding a sport that I truly love. So I do hate that. I did not get to tune in on any lives this week. I've been so busy trying to get in my new home and get things ready to have somewhat of a normal week for work. So I didn't get to tune into any live. So I don't really know what transpired out on the water at this last tournament. But I just hate to see the negativity and the constant comments and the TikTok videos and the constant reels on Facebook. Sometimes I just feel like some people just love it. They love to be a part of all that. They love all the negativity. I don't know if it's for clicks, views, and likes. I don't know. But God, I get tired of seeing it. So I'm going to talk about some of the good things on the in the fishing industry, and one of those is our own Alabama Bass Trail's own Wesley Gore had a phenomenal first year on the Bassmaster Elite Series. Wesley finished 10th in Angler of the Year points, only 63 points behind the winner. Finished third in Rookie of the Year points. Just had an amazing year out on the Bassmaster Elite Series. I'd love to get a chance to talk to Wesley. I reached out to him this morning. Unfortunately, I think he's driving back. So hopefully when he gets back in Alabama and can get a little settled, he'll schedule some time for us and we'll record a podcast with him. But what an amazing young man. If you know Wesley at all, you know how hard he works out on the water, as I know a lot of anglers do. I'm not saying Wesley's better than anybody else. I'm just saying from our perspective and watching him grow through the Alabama Bass Trail, watching him fish the Alabama Bass Trail 100s, following his career through the EQs, and then watching him succeed out on the Bassmaster Elite Series. He does it the right way. He puts in his time. Just really, really proud of him, and I hope to get to tell him that face to face soon. But I do want him to know just how excited we are to have him on the Elite Series, a former Alabama Bass Trail angler, another former Alabama Bass Trail angler that is doing it at a high level. So very proud of Wesley. Probably one of the most controversial years in all of bass fishing was this season, and I don't know. I don't know if it's because we're more globally connected now with social media. I don't know if this stuff has been happening all the time and we're just now hearing about it because we're so connected globally with social media. But it does seem like it has been one of the most controversial years out in the sport. So congratulations to him for not getting wrapped up in that, keeping his head down, and just fishing. So, congratulations to Wesley Gore for finishing 10th in the Angler of the Year points, solidifying his chance to go to the Bassmaster Classic in Fort Worth in 2025. So, we will be there as the Alabama Bass Trail supporting him as well as all of the other Alabama anglers that make it. So, I did want to say that. Another positive, kind of a negative, but a positive. John Pollard and Tim Watkins will not be able to attend the Bassmaster Team Championship in Monroe, Louisiana this year. John informed me of that last week, or actually 2 weeks ago. And as I was doing the research to find out who the next team would be to go, ends up the next two teams have already qualified through the North Division. So Connor and Caleb Miller, a high school team from the Alabama Bass Trail, the winners in the high school division this year on the Alabama Bass Trail. They were 12th in Angler of the Year points. They are the only true high school team, two high school students that we will actually send to the Bassmaster Team Championship. Got a chance to visit with their dad, their mom, inform them, because let's be honest, that's who's going to be footing the bill for this. Got to talk to them, and then was able to call Connor and Caleb on Friday prior to me moving to let them know, and they were so excited. You may have seen the podcast with them. They are very well spoken, very well versed in the bass fishing world. They've competed at a high level in the high school tournaments, and now they will get a chance to go and compete at one of the top team tournaments in the country, the Bassmaster Team Championship. So we are excited to send them. We have one other high school student that will be going. His name is Fisher Anaya. Actually, Fisher graduated last year. I still consider him a student. I don't know why I do that, but Fisher and his dad will be going. And then Connor and Caleb Miller, the only high school team we've ever sent to the Bassmaster Team Championship, they'll be making their debut on the big stage in Monroe, Louisiana. So congratulations to those guys. Finishing 12th in the points in the Alabama Bass Trail South Division is no small feat. And they are ready and they are excited, and we can't wait to have them represent us over in Monroe, Louisiana. So really, really excited about that. Before Luke comes on with us, I want to talk about registration just a little bit. We knew that it was going to be a little crazy just simply because of the number of phone calls, text messages, Facebook messages, and emails that we've received since May, since we released the schedule, on how quickly we would fill up. Luke, Jason, and Darian and I had a little conversation on the podcast last week. And after Luke snapped out of his coma, I guess, of whatever he was in, he said 48 hours to begin with. He then went to 15 minutes. Darian went to 19 minutes. Jason said it would make it into the double digits, but just barely. He guessed 10 to 11 minutes. And I guessed 20, just simply because of knowing how much information has to be entered. There's so many variables in that. So I guess looking at that, Jason probably wins the prize for getting closest to the time frame that it took to sell out. If you were watching live, you know that the North Division sold out in 7 minutes, somewhere between that 6 and 7 minute mark. And at the 45-minute mark, we only had 10 spots left in the South Division. So it was a crazy morning. We currently have 34 people on the waiting list in the North. We have 10 people on the waiting list in the South. They are on the waiting list for the 2025 season. We do have people drop out here and there. So I do not publish a list of teams until all payments have been secured. And I believe out of 450, 263 teams use the deposit option. So until all payments are paid, I do not release a list of the people that are participating. So, but one cool fact that I did notice this morning as I was looking through registrations, 12 states, anglers from 12 states are participating with us. Alabama, Mississippi, Georgia, Tennessee, Florida, Illinois, South Carolina, Kentucky, Missouri, Indiana, Louisiana, and Michigan. So 12 states, which is pretty impressive to drive that far to come and fish the Alabama Bass Trail. So we're excited about that. $15,000 on the line at each one of those tournaments, over $63,000 paid out at each event. So it's going to be a fun, exciting year. But again, we've got a little work to do to finish up 2024. But the anticipation for the 2025 season, if I had to gauge it on registration, I would say that it's pretty high. So I'm excited about it. I know Luke and the whole team is excited about it. So we're going to talk to him in just a little bit. The messages that I received from our team after registration from former tournament directors of the Alabama Bass Trail, Scott Dobbins reached out to me. Elite Series anglers reached out to me. A lot of our sponsors reached out to me just to share the excitement of being sold out in 7 minutes. It is something to certainly be excited about. It is certainly something for our state to be excited about. And we can't wait to welcome in all the new teams and a little shakeup in some teams as well. So we'll talk about that when we come back in the second segment of the Alabama Bass Trail podcast presented by Phoenix Boats. We'll welcome in the voice of the Alabama Bass Trail, Mr. Luke Dunkin, and get his take on selling out so quickly. So y'all stay tuned. You will not want to miss this next segment.
Things you let me see.
Welcome back to the Alabama Bass Trail podcast presented by Phoenix Boats. Luke Dunkin in the house to talk about registration, dude.
So crazy. I texted you and said to go from that cold morning at Guntersville when this thing took off 11 years ago now into the 12th season, and for this thing to sell out in the North in particular in 7 minutes, I was like, this is insane. It's hard to wrap your head around, but it's just a testament. We talk on here a lot about the hard work you put in, but the entire team and the family atmosphere the ABT has, it's just a testament to that. And I'm fired up, to say the least.
Dude, I almost didn't want to do live this time just because of all the commotion, everything going on in my personal life. I was like, oh, it's just going to be such a chore to do it and to get it set up and have to tear it back down because we got carpet cleaners coming in. Maybe I just don't do it. But something told me that we should. And I think guys and ladies have gotten used to that and have kind of gotten used to knowing, when things sell out and all of that. And it's not, I guess it is a boastful thing for us because it is important that the demand is there and that we're growing that next group of anglers. And we had probably 65, 70 new teams in one division. So it was really cool to see that. But it really is about information. The people are wanting to know, are they in? They're wanting to know all the things. And absolutely no way, no how did I expect 6 to 7 minutes for the North to fill up. I knew the schedule was good, but I just think, like you said, I think people understand that we're not going to take their crap. We're going to run a solid tournament. We're going to do our very best for it to be the most organized event you fish. We're transparent. We do what we say we're going to do. I just think that is really important to people right now. I talked about in the first segment, you and I talked about a little bit off air, the amount of controversy that has surrounded the sport that we love. I worked in this industry way before the Alabama Bass Trail. The sport that we love has been so under a microscope or so controversial this year. And I've said, I don't know if it's because we're globally connected now with social media or whatever, but it just seems so controversial and so negative. And people that are making money off clicks, likes, and views because of the breaking news aspect of let me report something else negative and let me report something else controversial. Let me report this. Dude, to have something positive, and not every day's great. I mean, you got in the camper with me on after Eufaula.
Yeah.
And you saw me absolutely just have a meltdown after being in the heat for 18 straight hours, because it was hot, 90 when
It
we
was
got there at
miserable.
3 o'clock in the morning, and it was
Mhm.
115 when we finished. So you saw me just have a meltdown. So not everything's always positive, but this is a positive thing to sell out in 7 minutes and really only have 10 spots after 45 minutes in the South. Took a few more hours to get that sold out, but basically you're sold out in 45 minutes in the South, sold out in 7 minutes in the North. Just phenomenal. And I think you're right. I think it has so much to do with what people have come to expect from us, and that people keep telling the good word of the Alabama
Well,
Bass
no
Trail.
doubt. And I think they have fun. I think these events are, I mean, they're very serious. Obviously, they're high paying events. They're competitive, it's as competitive as it gets around the country. Like we talk about that. It's one of the toughest trails. If you can survive here, you can survive anywhere, really. Like if you're consistent on the ABT, you can take your career to the next level. We see that over and over and over with the Justin Hamners and the Wesley Gores of the world right now, currently representing, and Dustin Connells. And I mean, the list goes on and on and on. So, but at the root of it, and I said this on my podcast last year, at the first of this year, excuse me, at the first of the season, though, team tournaments are the heart of all competitive bass fishing, right? Like we all get fixated on the drama at the pro level. Obviously, I host a podcast where I've put a spotlight on those things many times, but we kind of get fixated on that as fans of the sport and people that love the sport. But the true heartbeat of tournament fishing is the team tournament style. It's where everybody starts with their buddy, or they start with their dad or their brother or their uncle fishing, whether they go on to win the Bassmaster Classic or not. That's where everything kind of starts. You don't fish by yourself typically. And so I think it is my favorite thing about the ABT is the teams, and this is not a knock on anybody, but the guys that just show up because they can't get off work and they just show up, and they show up at all five, and they're like, hey man, you run into them on the water, we pull up, hey, boat 72, how are y'all? And they're like, we're just going down the bank trying to get a bite because we had to work all week, but we're here because we love this and we have fun. Like that, to me, that's the heartbeat of it, man. It's a fun trail, and we try to make our best to make it as much fun as we can. Like keep it lighthearted, knowing that it is very serious and they're fishing for big money, but to try to keep that fun going. And that team trail aspect, though, man, it's very important. It's very important in this crazy world where people are bickering on social media about one thing or another, whether it's fishing or sports or politics. Like I think team tournaments are very important.
Yeah, I do too. If I seem a little distracted, Wrigley decided to come up in the office just a minute ago, and something has him triggered, and I don't know what it is. So if you hear a loud bark, if you hear a loud bark here in a minute, something has him so triggered, and it's hilarious. He's just getting kind of used to the new house, and so he's walking around, but he's sitting at the top of the stairs, staring down the stairs, and I have no idea what he's staring at. So if I seem a little distracted, one of the things that you mentioned, and you're right, we have a number of teams that sign up because it's where their buddies fish, and they spend time grilling out, having low country bowls, doing all the things, having a couple coal bush lights on the back of the tailgate.
In the hotel parking lot, right?
In the hotel parking lot. It's a parking lot party. It's a parking lot party. And the trail means different things to different people. And Sugar Walker, I actually sent her a text when her registration came through. I said, this makes my heart smile. Normally she's on day one, like 1, 2, or 3. Like she said, hey, I had to wait on payday. Don't be throwing no shade. I love seeing that. They bring donuts to the crew. It's just a family atmosphere. And she says, we're gonna win one day. We just know that we're gonna win one day. We haven't had our best performance, but just the fact that I know when she signs up, and it made my heart happy. There was a lot of other teams like that. I was, a little worried about some teams this year. Like I didn't see them sign up, and I was like, oh, okay. Point in that, John Kellett, Zeke Gossett go in a different direction this year. Zeke signed up north and south with Ethan King, who he fishes the ABT 100 with.
Good luck, boys.
Dude, that
those
South Division with those guys.
uh,
Yeah. And I'm not
South, what are you
discounting the
talking
North.
about?
I
I was gonna
know.
say, what are you talking about? They were AOI. He was part of the AOI team in the North 2 years ago. Yeah,
True.
those boys they're fun to watch on the water. They got it going on, and I think that's going to be a dangerous duo in 25, to say the very least, in both divisions.
I think so too. John Kellett did sign up for both divisions. He just has not assigned his partner yet. And I know it's hard. A lot of other schedules haven't come out yet. You haven't seen the opens. You haven't seen the changes that are coming to the opens. And we've all heard that there's going to be changes. So we haven't seen that. We haven't seen BFL schedules. We haven't seen a PFL schedule. We haven't seen the Elite Series schedule. Not that the Elite guys can fish with us, but you haven't seen those schedules yet. So, always a possibility that teams will drop out. So, going to be interesting. Sadly to report, I didn't see Brian Stifler's name on that ABT South, which makes me so sad. Brian is in that kids playing sports and they play all sports. We know how that is. So
yeah.
I kind of expected it, but I was still sad to see it. I was still sad to see that he wasn't with us.
And he lost his buddy. Wesley was Stifler Gore, Stifler Gore, Stifler Gore. That's what you heard all the time, keeping up with ABTs. And now Wes, obviously coming off a fantastic rookie season on the Elite Series, made the Bassmaster Classic. And Brian showed up to fish a lot of the events by himself this year.
Yeah.
Because his partner couldn't make it, and he flew solo. So we will definitely miss us from Brian Stifler in that ABT South. He's one of our favorites.
Yeah, we'll have to spend some extra time with him when we're down at Lay Lake in the for the championship. 12 states, anglers from 12 states, dude. Alabama, Mississippi, Georgia, Tennessee, Florida, Illinois, South Carolina, Kentucky, Missouri, Indiana, Louisiana, and Michigan. And it's not a Van Dam. It's not a Van Dam.
It's not a Van Dam. Well, he is retired,
Michigan.
so technically he could.
Yeah, in a year, once he's out of fishing for a year, he can be there. But 12 states traveling to the little old sweet home Alabama to participate in some bass fishing tournaments.
Yeah, I think that again, that's a testament. We've seen our live numbers this year. Think about this. We've had more eyeballs on us this year than ever before. I hate to say that out loud because stupid Darian will take credit for it, just like he did for the registration numbers. Jason and I are just left behind. Darian's been bragging about that. But I think like you've grown this brand of the Alabama Bass Trail. And once you started throwing the live out there, and you've got the TV show as well, like it's funny. More people see it than you ever realize. And like we get in our little bass fishing corner of the world and you're like, oh, this is what I do. And I have so many people in my life that I think they just think I fish or I'm lazy, which is both of those are true at times, I'll just tell you. But it was funny. I picked up my 13-year-old rider Friday from school and he jumps in the truck and, car rider line, it's nuts picking up kids. And we turned out of the school parking lot and he says, he just started 8th grade like 2 weeks ago, and he's meeting some new friends. And he says, Dad, I got 2 kids in my class today that as soon as I got in there and I sat next to them, they said, hey, man, is your dad Luke Dunkin? And listen, my kids don't care about the podcast. They don't care about ABT, MPFL. I mean, like they do, but they're like, I'm their dorky dad, right? Like they're in that. I'm just dad. And like people are like low lifer, like we saw a guy at Buc-ee's the other day, and he's like, "What's up, low lifer?" And they were like, ugh. Like they just want to go hide. They think it's dumb, and so they're like, "Oh, my dad said something stupid on the internet again." So he was like, he said these 2 boys. I said, "Well, what were their names?" And he tells me, and I said, "Well, why do they need to know me?" And he goes, "Because they watch you on the Alabama Bass Trail." And they think that's awesome. So that was my Friday. So hey, we're getting around. But they and he goes, well, he also works for MPFL. And they were like, yeah, we don't know what that is. And they were like, oh, well, do you watch his podcast? Ryder's like, well, do you watch his podcast? Like, no. But that's specifically ABT. So shout out to the young ones from Tennessee watching ABT.
So I had to return some equipment to the charter store here. I had no idea where it was in Coleman. So I had to look it up, and I go to return some equipment there because we upgraded when we came to the house. And so I go in and you sign in and it's simply KAYD. Like that's all I did. KAYD.
Yeah.
And so I wait and I wait and I wait. And the guy calls me, he goes, Miss Donaldson, I can take care of you. And I'm like, okay. I didn't enter my phone number, just KAYD. I walk over and he goes, look, and he shows me a picture of my truck going down I-65, like whatever day. He said, I'm a huge fan. I watch every one of your TV shows. I'm a huge fan. I can't believe I'm going to get to meet you. Can we take a picture? I have on no makeup. My hair's in a bun. I've been
And you're like,
cleaning.
no.
And I'm like, can I come back maybe another day and take a picture? But we did. And I got to hear all about who he follows and who he likes. And
That's
he
cool.
doesn't have a boat, but he loves fishing, loves the Alabama Bass Trail, watch every show, loves all the commentary back and forth. He says, y'all seem like y'all have a great time. But 100%, Coleman, Alabama is not where I thought I would find my biggest fan. I can assure you of that.
Yeah.
That is not.
Yeah.
So anyway, shout out to Charter Communications. I said I wouldn't say his name on live, but hey, if I ever need to pick me up, I'm just going to go back to the Charter Communications store and hope that he's working.
Having a bad day. Having a bad day. Yeah.
It's amazing to me. Jake says the same thing. The number of people who know him through the podcast and know him through my Facebook page, and how many people follow the Alabama Bass Trail that he would never know. I got an email 2 weeks ago from a guy. Hey, I'm so-and-so from Hatton, blah, 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 blah. How do I get in? Blah, 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 blah. So I sent him back a message. I said, hey, I'm a 1990 graduate from Hatton High School. Go Hornets, And so I sent him all the message, and he goes, oh, I know. I watch you all the time. I tell everybody she went to Hatton High School. She went to Hatton High School. Nobody knows where that is, by the way. But anyway, ended up second on the waiting list.
Okay.
Dang it, dude. He goes, that's just
too
too
slow. Quicker on the draw.
Yeah, he said, I got caught up with my partner's information and didn't get in. So it's just funny to me to see people from back home that know the Alabama Bass Trail, and then the far-reaching aspect of the TV show and the live. And like you said, our live numbers this year have just been crazy good. Interaction has been crazy good, and we're working on more and more and more of that for the upcoming season. So I'm excited about it. I do have to point out, though, we did a little vote of how long we thought it would take.
Do we have to talk about this again?
I mean, after you came to your senses after your 48-hour comment, what the hell? You said 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Darian said 19. Jason said he thought we would get to the 2-digit mark. So he said 10 to 11. I said 20. Jason wins.
I know. Dadgummit.
How bad does that suck?
Jason, because I'll never live that down too, because things that are recorded live on forever, obviously, and you're not going to hit delete. I know that. And I just didn't do my homework. I'll be honest, I was drifting off during that part.
You were getting ready to go to Mexico.
I was getting ready to go to Mexico. And and then I'm like, 48 hours. And all y'all's faces were facing. I was like, oh, that wasn't the right thing. So congratulations on 7 minutes and not 48 hours.
Hey, I might have actually gone into a panic. I want to talk about 2 more things. It's something I called you about. The other team doesn't know about this. Other members of our team doesn't know about this. John Pollard, Tim Watkins had to back out of the Bass Team Championship, did the research, looked at all the teams. In Connor and Caleb Miller, the only high school team from the Alabama Bass Trail to ever go to the Bassmaster Team Championship. How freaking cool is that?
It's awesome because they're awesome young men. They've got a crazy good support system. Their family is so much fun at the weigh-ins. Those ABT Souths have been awesome all year long. But those two know what they're doing. And it would not surprise me to see one of them in the Bassmaster Classic. I mean, truly, but to go from, and they had a high school angler make it last year. So that's not a far-fetched thing at all. And just to be our first team representing, and we had a few youngins out there this year, but to be a pure high school team, both of them, and to be out there with your brother, like the whole thing's been a lot of fun. They're very well spoken, polite young men. Now I sound really old when I say things like that, but you do
we
notice
are
that,
really
right?
old.
Like, I've got high school, I got kids in high school, like, I see the good and bad a lot of times in high school kids under my own roof, and so it's cool to see, when you got them on camera, you don't have to worry about them. They're always awesome on stage. And here's the deal, okay? We're not supposed to pick favorites at all. But anybody that kind of gets their fashion ideas from me, I'm here for it.
You're about it. I worry about
everybody
them.
else crap about my fashion.
Everything else about those guys, I'm like sold on. That when they walk up and they've got a Luke Dunkin similar shirt, dude, I start questioning
Their whole
their
family did. It was,
parentings. Yeah.
the whole family did. It was
The
awesome.
whole
You
family was
follow.
all in Luke Dunkin-ish clothing.
Yeah,
So I'm excited about that. And as we talk about teams that are kind of starting their career and all of that, we need to talk about, we have had 3 major retirements this year in bass fishing. Started out with KVD. Rick Clunn announced he is retiring. And then Mark Zona at the end of FS1 last week announces that he is done. He is retiring and out of the live bass world. Wow. That is 3 major icons right there gone from our sport. Well, gone from the competitive side of our sport.
Yeah, gone from the competitive, and Rick, it really did catch me off guard. Which Rick's had this year's, it's his 50th season. He's put a lot of pressure on, or a lot of spotlight on that on his social media, and his social media's been awesome this year. Like his wife helps him with that. I know he does a lot too on there, and it's been great. He's had a different sponsor spotlight at every event. It's been a real neat approach, and kind of had the feeling like, all right, is this it? Is this kind of the last run? And I won't lie, I got emotional during that weigh-in, seeing him hold up his last 2 on an Elite Series stage, knowing what all he's done for this sport. Just such a legend. And then the Zona one caught me off guard big time. The timing of it, I guess. And Mark and I are great friends. I consider him a mentor in my life. I call him for advice a lot, and I'm very fortunate to know Mark and Karen. And I knew that there would be a day. I mean, he and I have had some conversations, and I think we've seen, he's not done as many Bass Lives, and he really loves his show. Like, he loves the Zona show, and I knew this day would come. But I'll be honest, like, I didn't know it was going to be this past tournament. So seeing him emotional, seeing Tommy emotional, like, it was a beautiful moment. And he is, and Tommy Sanders said this, and Tommy's the pro to me. Like, if you're going to be a commentator, like, you shouldn't try to imitate anybody, but he is, like, he's the guy. He sets the benchmark. And for him to say, and I totally agree, that Mark Zona is not only, as far as an analyst, the best to ever do it in bass fishing, that he's in Tommy's top 10 to ever do it, period. Now, listen, this is a guy that's worked from every sport. Like, so for Tommy to say that, I think that's just the tip of the cap that Zona deserves, because anybody that thinks what we do, and I would never put myself in either of those guys' shoes, but, like, if you think that's an easy job, first of all, like, it well, you got them in your ear. You got to be able to try to be clever. You got to keep the action moving. You got to try to get the information out to the viewer, all while there's 15 conversations going on in your head, more than normal, right? And also be entertained. Like, it's a really difficult job. It just is. And it takes a special person to be able to pull it off at the level that Mark has pulled it off. And look, it's so funny, like, all the things that people call bass and all the, big bass and like, he's just on a whim throwing stuff out there and to see what sticks, and it does stick, and it becomes like these industry things. So we will definitely miss him in that role. It's almost, for me, it's like coming into the ABT this year and filling Robbie's shoes and making an attempt to. I don't want to be that guy. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that would be like, if Mike McKinnis called me right now and said, "Hey, man, it's yours." That's a scary one.
Oh, yeah.
That's a terrifying, seat to, it's been this way for 20 years. Now I got to try to be myself, not be Mark, because the fans got get used to that. So that's an unenviable position that somebody's going to have to fill in 2025. But what a ride, man. He's a legend, such a legend. But it's that event, they needed to just not have it. There was a lot of bad juju at that event. I said that I recorded the podcast on the final day early, and it was before Mark made his announcement. And I said on the podcast, I said, I'm going to go ahead and record this. That way I don't have to talk about anything else because before the final day's over, because what else can happen? Because it was just truly, it was so crazy. And I hate more than anything that there was so much drama that was being talked about, because all we should be talking about is Rick and Mark, right?
Yep.
Like it's what you and I open this with.
Yeah.
That's what we should be talking about, but the negatives, unfortunately, outweigh it at times.
Yeah, I hate anytime a win is surrounded by controversy. That, is it really a win? I didn't watch, and I said this in the opening segment, I didn't watch any live. There was so much going on here with
Yeah.
the day 6 or 7 or 8 of trash left behind on our new home and all the stuff. Had enough going on here. I didn't turn on any of the live. Just didn't have time for it. Probably didn't have the TV hung by then, actually. So a lot of things going on here. I just hate anytime there's a win that's surrounded by controversy. I hate that those stories are kind of down below the fold. If we look at the website, those stories are not at the top because they certainly deserve to be there. Those people will be missed in competitive bass fishing. I know we'll still see them at the shows. I know they will still have something to do in the bass fishing realm. But when I look at, Wesley Gore finishing in the top 10 in the Angler of the Year points, going to his first Bassmaster Classic, I always wanted him to go as an ABT angler. I want him to make it through that Bass Team Championship and go first as an ABT guy. But we knew when Wesley made that step into the Elite Series, everybody here talked about it. Hank Weldon would call and talk to me about it. We knew that guy had it in him to go and be successful out on the Elite Series. Jamie Willis has said it before. He's probably the best live scope person he's ever been in the boat with. I think he's got a big opportunity and a big rising shelf there at the Elite Series, and super proud of him. Like I said, super proud of Connor and Caleb going on to fish with us.
Yeah.
But dude, it's been a crazy week in your life, crazy week here at the new homestead. And hopefully carpets will be clean Wednesday and I can start designing something for the podcast a little bit different than what we are now. But good Lord, it's been a crazy week. It's been a crazy, fun week, and very thankful. Can't say enough about you, Darian and Jason out on the water, John and Daniel up on the stage, Mark, Frank, Todd, JD, Brody, Landon, I'm sorry, Brandon that was with us part of the year. Just all the people that play a part in this, Kenny and Ben and Brenton and Jared and Noah. I mean, Noah's photos, my gosh, they are absolutely, if there is a J.O.-ish type person, to me, he is a James Overstreet type person, and his eye is great. And just everybody that played into such a fantastic buildup of the registration. The anglers, having 1,100 of the best outside salespeople that we could possibly have out there preaching the good word on the Alabama Bass Trail. It is a phenomenal place to be, and a fantastic way to start off the 2025 season, because I really officially think August 15th is the start of the 2025 season.
Oh, yeah, no doubt about it. We've still got some things to sort out.
Oh yeah,
this season.
We've got a lot of money left to hand out.
Yeah, that's right. A lot of big cardboard checks. I have to get more checks to hand out for sure. But I can't help but look forward to Lay Lake and then the ABT 100 and then Guntersville in January. I'm going to say this right now. I don't care if it's 14 degrees because it's been 100 at my house, and all I've been thinking about is how much I complained at Logan Martin, and I hate being hot. I hate being hot. And I'm like, you know what? Maybe we take things for granted. Those 40-degree days for highs aren't that bad.
Hey, if we can hover around that 25 to 32 range in the morning, I'm fine. Of course, I'm inside too. So.
Hang on.
I'm completely fine with 25 to 32. But I am. It has been hot. I'm typically I love the outside. I thought of this yesterday. I've not been to the pool one time this summer, like just to go to the pool. This house deal has just totally broken me from having any personal time. So don't be surprised if you see a post on Friday of me going south, because I might just decide I need some away time after all this.
Time.
Oh my God, something time.
Yeah,
something to
I
it.
get
So,
it. I get it.
but
We got back from our Mexico trip, and I made a video last week joking. I said, all these people are like, "Man, I'm back and I'm recharged and ready to get after it." I'm like, "You're all a bunch of liars. I'm
mhm.
ready to go right back to
Me
Mexico.
too.
Like real life sucks."
Hey, as soon as I enter at Charlotte Airport and they go
Yeah,
next, I'm like,
yeah. As soon as they
Taco
start
didn't
yelling
say
at you,
next. He
yeah,
said, Senorita. He didn't say
They don't
next.
treat you like cattle, dude.
Uh,
We always joke about that. When you come back through customs in the United States, you're like, it's your first dose of reality, and you're
it
lining
is.
up. It
It
is because
is.
down there they're like, handing you margaritas and customs all. You're
That's
like,
right. This
yeah,
is the
let's
way.
go.
This is the way.
This is
So
it's not.
I love Mexico. We looked at the Dominican, and we may still try to take a trip to the Dominican. But yeah, I'm about the week before we closed on our house. The lady at the office sends me a message. She said, "You realize you have 47 days of vacation to take. Hopefully, you'll take 2 weeks when you move into your house." I said, "You do realize it's registration week. There's
She
no way
said,
I'm
no.
taking a week of vacation during registration week." So I am going to take a few days in a couple weeks to just get away and hopefully have that time to recharge and reset. But what a way to start the 2025 season on August 15th. Selling out in 7 minutes in the north, roughly 45 minutes in the south. We had 10 spots left. That's basically selling out. Parker Odom and his dad was the last team in the south. So be good to see them back. I don't think we've seen them for like 9 years. I think they fished when we were at the Mobile Delta, but I don't think we've seen them. I know Parker went through high school fishing, so hopefully we'll get to rekindle that relationship. Good to see those guys back. Colton and Parker will be back with us. So, all right.
Awesome. Can't wait.
Awesome. Wait, I cannot wait. Hated we couldn't get Darren and Jason on this morning, but they've got, real life jobs to do. Not like us. We just hang out and record podcasts all the time. So
Yeah, Darian's so busy.
well, he does seem to be on social media. I got to see
No, he
that
really
little boy
does seem to
yesterday.
be. Yeah,
That little
yeah.
boy is just the cutest. Cannon is so cute.
He is.
He is.
He
He's a dog.
is indeed.
All right. Well, I'm going to let you get out of here, guys. That's
All
the second
right.
segment celebrating the 2025 registration of the Alabama Bass Trail Tournament Series. We'll be right back. You're listening to the Alabama Bass Trail Podcast presented by Phoenix Boats. Y'all stay tuned.
Research and development is more than just time in the shop for us. It's time out here. Sweating the details. Making boats that work as well in the real world as they do on paper. From our R&D team to our anglers on the water, we have the knowledge and passion to build you the finest fishing platform in the world.
Welcome back to the final segment of the Alabama Bass Trail Podcast presented by Phoenix Boats. Always fun to jump on the call with Luke and our before and after conversations. Man, he is a busy guy working NPFL. Got a tournament there in a couple weeks, starting his own company, dad, husband, all the things. Always fun to have him on. I do want to just wrap up this show, make it very quick. I am leaving here after recording this on Monday, August the 19th, headed down to a very special place to me and to the Alabama Bass Trail, Camden, Alabama, Wilcox County, for the memorial for Big Daddy Lawler. As most of you know, he was a very important person to the Alabama Bass Trail, as well as to myself. I remember meeting him in May of 2013 after we announced Alabama Bass Trail, actually 2012, I apologize, after we announced Alabama Bass Trail as a tourism mechanism for the state of Alabama. And he invited me down through a post on Facebook. We got to talk, and I went down and spent a great deal of time with him in his hometown there in Camden. Became a very big fan of his. I never remember calling that he didn't answer, never remember texting that he didn't say he could talk. He was a great friend of mine. I miss him dearly. We lost him this year. And unfortunately, we just had a very short time from the time that we learned of his diagnosis to the time we lost him. But looking forward to being down there with Governor Ivey, Chris Blankenship, with Department of Conservation, and several others that will get to speak on behalf of Big Daddy Lawler and remember the legacy that he left for the outdoors in the Black Belt region, and just memorialize the years of service that he spent for the state of Alabama, the Black Belt region, and certainly to the Alabama Bass Trail. So I'll be leaving here shortly doing that. I do want to say thank you to everyone who played a part in the registration of the Alabama Bass Trail. Thank you to everyone who registered. Thank you to all the sponsors who've supported us over the past 11 seasons. Thank you to our team, the guys and gals that are out there doing it every weekend, to the team on the water, to our TV crew, to our live team, to everyone it takes to get this done, to our host cities for providing a way for us and a means to be there. We appreciate you. Hope that you know that. I do want to say a sincere thank you to the board of directors of the Alabama Bass Trail for allowing me to be the face and the director of the Alabama Bass Trail. I think now being 13 years, or almost 13 years going into this, it has been a ride. And as I mentioned to some of our sponsors, we've come a long way, baby. We've got a long way to go, but I'm extremely proud of what we've built. And it is a true team sport here on the Alabama Bass Trail. So thank you for tuning in. I do hope you will take some time and get out and enjoy the great outdoors in the state of Alabama. Hope to see you on the water soon. Until then, everyone, God bless, good fishing, and as Big Daddy would always say, get outdoors.
Thanks for listening to the Alabama Bass Trail podcast. To learn more about the Alabama Bass Trail, make sure and visit alabamabasstrail.org.